Thank you, Liz, Gina, Barbie, Gina. Oh, Gina's in there twice. Jared and Bryce. Thank you for an excellent overview. So we've had several questions come in from the audience. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first question that we have is, what can you say about the reason students leave college before completion? And this is open.
This is Barbie at the Commission in Indiana. You can look at the research. There's all kinds of things that cause that. Financial reasons are one of those things, and just providing a scholarship doesn't necessarily alleviate that. But for a lot of students, especially our 21st century scholars who are often first-time college students, other social dynamics, family dynamics play a big role in that for these students as well.
Yeah, I work on the college level. Barbie works more on the K-12 level, but I think that anecdotally what we see a lot is it's not that the students don't have the funding. I think that helps them get to school, but having the on-campus support and knowing what resources are there, what keep them in school, and then when one thing happens or goes wrong, to be able to have the support system around them on the campus to actually say, you got a flat tire, we're going to figure it out so you can continue coming to school, or you can't pay rent this month. There are additional things that might help that, or whatever it is. But I think it's a lot of things. There's not really one silver bullet to say, if we have this, all students will stay in school and graduate on time or even on part-time.
Thank you. Another question that is sort of secondary to that, what are some strategies to build college readiness in K-12 that you've found?
Well, we mentioned that, the Scholar Success Program. One thing I didn't mention during the regular presentation, it was initially rolled out just for 21st century scholars. It's required for them. But now in the last couple of years, it's being branded as required for scholars, but recommended for all. And a lot of our high schools, particularly in things like college and career readiness classes, those kinds of things, in certain government classes, certain English classes, they take part of that Scholar Success Program and actually use them with all students. So we're hoping that some of those recommended activities can be more broadly used and hopefully start to see better preparation for all students.
Thank you. And then this question is for both Bryce as well as Barbie, Jared, and Gina. What about DACA students or Dreamers? Are they eligible for the scholarship?
In the state of Indiana, actually DACA students are not eligible for any state financial aid, unfortunately, regardless of whether it's 21st century scholars, Franco-Bannon, or anything else. They have to be eligible non-citizens, and in Indiana that does not include DACA students.
That's the same in Oklahoma, and I think it was also in 2007 we had legislation that required students to be U.S. citizens or, in the statutory language, lawfully present, which they've interpreted not to include DACA students. Thank
you. Bryce, this question is for you. So what percentage of high school grads will qualify for the Promise program, given the income limit in Oklahoma?
Right now, it's about 20% that end up qualifying for the program. And when we look at our incoming direct from high school to college students enrolling in our state system schools, they're also about 20% of our incoming freshmen.
Perfect. Thank you, Bryce. So another question that we received is, what have you seen about providing both formative and summative feedback to students? Do you have any recommendations for best practices?
Can you provide any clarification on that question, or I know putting you on the spot there, Billie Jo.
No, that's totally fine. So the question again was, what have you seen about providing both formative and summative feedback to the students? And I'm going to take this to mean university students, and I'm also going to take this to mean, you know, because I'm going to take that liberty, I'm going to take this to mean the students who are in the Scholars Program or the Oklahoma Promise Program. We are requiring a lot more of the students. Do we provide them feedback that helps them sort of move through this process in a constructive way?
So from the state side of things, specifically with Scholar Track and the Scholar Success Program, the feedback that they really receive, really, it's more of a tracking system for us. And so the feedback they would receive would be from the high school guidance counselors, and then from a college level. A lot of our campuses actually have 21st Century Scholar or offices on their campus that provide coaching and academic advising. And so I think that from a state level, it's hard to answer that question because we don't necessarily interact one-on-one with the students quite as much as those on-campus supports. But if whoever asked that question is interested in our finding out more information, they can shoot us an email, and we're happy to provide more information. I don't know if Bryce has any on his side of things there.
Now, at the state level, we really don't have anything near the infrastructure that Indiana has as far as state-funded or organized. We really depend heavily on the local high schools, the counselors, as well as the existing programs like Gear Up, Talent Search, Upward Bound. Now our requirements, kind of like Indiana, our 17 core required courses are aligned with our college admission requirements for our state system institutions, as well as the college high school graduation requirements for the curriculum they call it career college ready curriculum. But other than that, we don't have a lot of direct feedback to students.
Thank you. So we have another question. So here the person is saying that they are a college and career coordinator, and they would like to know, how do you get students to engage in your program, and how do you keep them engaged once they're in the program?
With Indiana, it actually looks a lot of different ways with the different partners and things that we talked about. In some schools, they have dedicated staff members, usually in the counseling department, that work with nothing but 21st Century Scholars, and they meet with them in small groups, and they meet on a regular basis. Others have our outreach staff come into the school, and we meet with students in big groups. We have the Scholar Success Days, those kinds of things. But in between all that, we have email communications that go out, phone communications, postcards. So, and we also have guides that are delivered to the schools every year for the students to take home that are grade specific, to take home to their families. And so we try to reach out in a variety of ways because it is a large program, it is statewide, and there are so many students to reach. With the community partners, we work really well with a lot of the big programs like Big Brothers Big Sisters, things like that, and they work directly with students, either one-on-one or in small groups.
We also have several nonprofits across the state, similar to Big Brothers Big Sisters. One's called Starfish Initiative, that's based here in Indianapolis. That is a mentoring organization that is specifically for 21st Century Scholars. So you have to be a 21st Century Scholar to be part of the program. Another program is called Project Leadership. It's actually in 2 counties up in the northeast side of the state, that focuses on 21st Century Scholar enrollment in middle school, and then SSP completion, and they provide mentoring and those types of things as well. And Barbie had mentioned that we do a lot of, emails and texts and phone calls and those things. So
social media.
Yeah, just to give a few numbers, last year we distributed more than 1.5 million print materials. We held over 500 different unique events across the state, had almost 28,000 phone calls that were sent out. And then we sent over 500,000 emails and texts to people. So we try to hit it. We have a very strong communication team here in the commission. And Barbie and I we're on outreach and communications, but we don't do the communication side. But we have a lot of support in that side of things as well.
And from the data standpoint too, we pull those lists of contact information for instance, senior scholars who haven't filed the FAFSA. We'll pull that contact information, and then that's put in a listserv and all of that to contact students to make sure they're hitting the SSP requirements and also FAFSA deadlines. So we do specific data pulls for contacts specifically to students for that.
Excellent. So thank you. So this really wraps up all the time that we have for questions today. I would like to thank our presenters again, Liz, Gina, Barbie, Jared, and Bryce. Thank you. If I can get someone to click to the next slide.
Sorry, our computer is a little sleepy, so we will be getting to the next slide in a minute.
Thank you. So in the meantime, while we wait for the next slide to come up, if you are interested in events like this and other publications, you can follow us on Twitter or check out our website at ies.ed.gov, and you can take a look and see what we have to offer. Next slide, please. And lastly, for more information, please feel free to contact us. Our emails are on this page. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. And other than that, that concludes our webinar for today. Thank you again for joining us.